talking about the type of money that you guys make across the league, the NFL, the NBA, MLS, MLB, you name it. It's a boatload of money. But when we talk about the women's game, they don't make nearly as much. And they're fighting for equal rights right now. They are fighting for a chance to play for their worth. And I know right now the WNBA draft is next week. I know shortly after that the season will kick off. But there's a chance that they won't play and that
Mhm.
will lockout, hold out to get more money. And so here's my thing. I'm in the media. I understand both sides. Like, we promote the women's game. We talk about these young popular players, but at the end of the day, they don't draw in the same amount of ratings and numbers that the men's game brings in, whether that's NFL, NBA, MLB, you name it. Do you feel like there's an obligation on us in the media and on you guys? Well, maybe not necessarily you, because like you said, you're a guy making veteran minimum, but for the guys that are making $50 million a year, $30 million a year. Do you feel like it's an obligation, especially for those NBA players, to help out the women's game and say, take $1 million from the highest paid player on every team and maybe $1 million from the owner, and then you put it in this pot and you help grow the women's game? Because they always talk about how players in the NFL, NBA, and on these who have these mega platforms do very little to help them.
Look, man, I think it gets tricky when you try to start telling people what to do with their money, especially money that they worked hard for and they earn
Mhm.
outright. So I think that's a tricky topic, and then it gets to a point where when is it enough? Even that strategy that you suggested, that still leaves a big disparity between NBA and WNBA players. I think that on the contrary, that our platforms being used to push their game is definitely something that could help them. Um, we've seen this year just a huge explosion of foot traffic coming to the WNBA because of the popularity of the college players,
Mhm.
Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, just bringing their popularity with social media and everything to the game. And I believe that players with big platforms, men with big platforms, can also push the game forward by using their platform as well, going to games, showing up, being seen, and making sure that they just know that they have our support.
Mhm.
That's definitely a way to push the game forward. But when it comes to the money thing, they have an opportunity this year to go sit down and do some negotiating. And when they go sit down at that table, they need to make sure that they fight for what they want. But
Mhm.
as far as a strike goes, I feel like that would not be a good thing for the league, man. They've had so much momentum, and they really just need to keep that going and capitalize off that with the next wave of players coming out of college basketball, because Paige Beckert,
Mhm.
um, she just won the championship, and she's another big name entering the league this year. That's going to be box office for them, and I would just hate to see them sit out because I don't know if they're going to be able to regain that type of momentum.
Yeah, I agree. And Paige Becker, she's here from Minnesota, where I am right now. And I know I've been talking about her all day long on my sportscast. People here call her Paige Buckets. They are thrilled and excited. She's probably going to get drafted to the Dallas Wings. And people are already excited, trying to look up tickets for when Dallas comes to Target Center. Kind of like you talked about, the women's game, the WNBA especially, is just hitting a new level right now, especially with Caitlin Clark, because she's now selling out bigger arenas where they're having to move WNBA games to NBA arenas, and where WNBA teams are now starting to get their own facilities and things like that. So I think we see the game constantly growing. But do you think we in the media do a good enough job promoting the WNBA? Or do you think it's just the fans that need to do better supporting them? Because my thing that I think is a little concerning for me when I watch the WNBA players carry themselves, I notice a lot of time they look up to guys like you or guys who play in the NBA, and they're pocket watching. They're like, well, they're getting 30 million. We should be getting 15. And it's like, well, y'all don't draw in that many viewers. Like, let's get out of their pockets and let's be reasonable about what you're asking for. Is $70,000 enough? Probably not. But is $1 million maybe too much for a player other than Caitlin Clark? I don't know. I can't speak on that. But just from my point of view, you being an athlete, do you even think the game is talked about, the women's game, not just WNBA, but all professional women's sports? Do you think it's highlighted enough from us media members?
Well, you kind of mentioned the fans, and isn't that part of media's job to bring the fans into the game a little more? So you know. obviously you're going to cover what's most popular and what's getting the most clicks, but there is a game going on over there that needs a little more attention from the media and the fans collectively.
Mhm.
And as you've explained, that is the media's job, is to bring in viewership to the game and push the game forward. So I don't believe that at this current time that it's being pushed enough by the media. I believe that there was a spike in its push with Caitlin Clark and everything, but just the entire league as a whole, I don't think that it's being pushed enough. I would like to see just a little more exposure there. Um, and as far as your second point, pocket watching, man, I learned a long time ago that that's never a good thing, brother. You gotta focus on what you got, because if you steady looking at somebody else's, you always gonna be discontent. So